Shalom, y'all. I just want to take a few minutes for this, and hopefully it'll be short. But I went to this website, hellenismos.us. I apologize if I'm pronouncing the name wrong. Now, I've had a female Hellenist come on my videos, and she's very respectful, very kind. And then I go to this hellenismos website and go to the forum, and I've heard it, mentioned a lot before through various people, arguing with the people on there. I go to the website, I click general chit chat or whatever it's called, and two of the posts on the first page that I'm confronted with, one of them is slamming my religion, slamming Judaism, trashing and mocking the Torah. It was ridiculous. And then another was the whole zombie Jesus thing on the first page. And they've got moderators. But this type of thing is tolerated. Bigotry, slamming other religions is tolerated. And I left there incensed. These people were being vile and disgusting. I'm not saying nobody took up. They did, one person did, and then somebody agreed with them, said, about bashing other religions. Hey, ours, won't look so hot from their point of view. Then 5 days later, they start bashing Torah. They start, attacking my religion. And I can guarantee you, Jews have never done anything to these people. I can guarantee you that. So, it's ridiculous. And when you mention things like this, a lot of pagans, a lot of neo-pagans I've met will try to defend the bigotry. Will try to defend people attacking other faiths, will attack you, that sort of thing. So it's not only tolerated, it's defended. And I want to say this, from my looks of it, I go there, the first thing I click on, I get this. And that's not the only place you run into this. You run into this in pretty much every pagan place you go to. I was thrown off of a forum because I was converting to Judaism. And they said, oh, you're not allowed here, basically. You don't belong here. And you run into this thing. And it's pretty pathetic. And as far from my point of view, evangelical Christians and neo-pagans, pretty much the same stock. Neo-pagans cannot take the moral high ground when it's so pervasive, so prevalent within their community. It's no more prevalent in evangelical Christianity than it is neo-paganism. You've got good people in each, you got bad people in each, and the bad people are not confronted by the others enough. It's like the same stock. They're borrowing from the same stock, and they have no moral high ground to talk about, oh, Christians persecuting us. And if somebody looks at you wrong, if a single person says something mean to you, or, something like that, it shouldn't happen. But you really can't claim persecution online with other religions. If you listen to NPR, you probably heard a story a few days ago. And if not, I challenge you to go and look and see what's happening in South Carolina with the adoption, the foster care system and everything. Basically, they're taking these kids away from the Native Americans, and the Native Americans can never see their kids again. and they're getting white families to raise their kids, and they're not giving them over to relatives. It's horrendous. And that is persecution. That is religious persecution. And it's something the Native Americans have had to deal with ever since the white men came here. And it's horrible. And it should be condemned. And, I mean, you look at what's happened to the Jews. The Muslims are considered terrorists, you know, if just for being a Muslim. And things like this. And what happens to the neo-pagans really doesn't stack up to that. I mean, it's not on the same level. So this persecution complex, it's all, we're constantly being persecuted. The fear-mongering. A chaplain in California couldn't get paid to be a chaplain. You know, you had to be a Jew, a Muslim, a Christian, or a Native American to get paid to be a chaplain. Well, they said, you know, you're not any of those, you can't get paid to be a chaplain. It was probably a case of limited resources. You know, we can't hire all these chaplains. We hire chaplains to take care of the majority of people, and then the others, they're not paid volunteers. They, you know, they can come in and be chaplains, but they can't get paid for it. You know, they can still minister to the people. They're not kept away from them, but they're not getting paid for it. Okay, in that case, you know, it's unfortunate. It sucks. You know, it's not religious discrimination on the par of anything else. You know, it's not religious discrimination. You know, I heard fear-mongering about, oh, pagans aren't going to be able to get married. They're going to take our rights away. They're going to take our churches away. We're going to get fired. You know, if this guy can't be paid for being a volunteer, you know, they're going to rewrite the Constitution. Yeah, and yeah, we've had evangelicals as far back as I can remember saying that, you know, witches were evil and satanic and they don't deserve, you know, protections, and they've been getting more and more protections the whole time because evangelicals do not write our Constitution. You know, they don't rewrite our Constitution. So while it shouldn't be happening, it's not on the par with what you're seeing happening to other groups. You know, the original pagans, they did a lot of their, you know, killing and persecuting themselves. They were killed and persecuted as well. You could talk about, in areas, religious persecution. I mean, people getting killed for their beliefs, people getting thrown out of their houses for their beliefs, that type of thing. And I think a large part of what is going on with pagans is the fact that they have taken the name witch. They claim to be witches. Well, witch for centuries has meant somebody that worships Satan, somebody that sacrifices children. You know, look at what they were accused of during the Middle Ages. I mean, curdling milk, you know, causing calves to be born stillborn, and that type of thing. And this is what witch means in Africa. It's what witch meant, you know, people causing harm through magic, you know, people worshiping Satan, that type of deal. And then you have a group calling themselves witches. You know, they should have used another term. Yeah, if somebody hears witch and it brings up connotations with it, you know, everything they've heard up to this point, you know, everything they've thought of witches, it brings up these connotations. And then they see people slamming the Bible or the Torah or whatnot, and it fits, you know. So I think a lot of it is an unfortunate choice of words. You can't reclaim something and expect the whole world to turn around to your usage. Like in Africa, they're still using witch to mean somebody that curdles milk and causes livestock to be stillborn and stuff like that. I mean, still the same Middle Ages definition of witch. You know, the witch children, albinos and such. The same Middle Ages definition of witch. You can't claim, well, you know, people are being put to death for witchcraft. I call myself a witch, therefore they're persecuting my religion. No, they're persecuting people that are different the same way they have been persecuting people who are different for centuries. You're just using the same name they do. But there's this idea that pagans are persecuted online with other religions, you know, Christians and Muslims being put to death in other countries and such. Pagans, neo-pagans, are not persecuted like other religions are. You know, a lot of them are in the Western world. Now, if they are in a Muslim country, or if they are, you know, somewhere like that, and they're genuinely afraid of their life, and they get attacked, and, you know, their house gets burned down, and stuff like that, then yeah, they're persecuted online with the other people. I don't want to say no pagan out there has ever been persecuted in line with other religions, because they are. But in general, you've got a persecution mentality that does not fit in with reality. Oh, the burning times, the Inquisition, that was persecuting people who are different. It was Catholics burning Protestants. It was Protestants burning Catholics. It was everybody ganging up on the Jews. That was people who were different. You know, old women and such as that. And if you read the testimonies, if you see what they were accused of, you can see these were not pagans. You know, that's been debunked. You know, Margaret Murray's been debunked. You know, all of this. Neo-pagans are not persecuted like other religions are. Now, is there ill will towards them, you know, because they are using these words that have been associated with other things? Yes. Is there ill will towards them just because they're a different religion? Yes, I'm sure there is. I think the majority of it is because they're using words with negative connotations, but I am sure that people persecute them simply because they are a different religion, but it does not rise to the level of persecution to justify this persecution mentality. And in no way does it justify trashing other people's religions, profaning other people's sacred things. And I'll tell you, pagans, neo-pagans are just as ignorant of Judaism as the average Christian. They're just as ignorant of Christianity as the average evangelical. I don't see this great knowledge of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam among the pagans that differentiates them from the rest of the community. Like, oh, well, these people know what they're talking about. No, a lot of them are idiots, and they're spouting slander and ignorance. The same as they accuse the evangelicals of doing. A lot of them are no better. When they're out there attacking other religions, a lot of time you go, what the hell are you talking about? Where did you learn that? You know, what made you, think that was true? And such as that. They have no way to justify the way they treat other religions. And they have no moral high ground for how other religions treat them, because there's people in their community doing this and they're not rising up and saying stop. So how can you blame somebody else for doing that? You can't. Yeah, and I know this is a rant. I apologize. But it's just some things that have been on my mind, especially after I ran across that board, saw that, 2 posts, hit general chit chat, and 2 posts on the first page. That's ridiculous. They've got moderators, they just don't care. Yeah, and that type of thing it bothers me. You know, and what have Jews done to these people? I mean, the other day on YouTube, I ran into a Jewish pagan. And, you know, sent a couple messages, a couple comments back and forth, favorited one of her videos. Seems like a really nice person. You know, her rabbi had an interfaith event where we had our harvest festival and the Native Americans had their harvest festival, and they sort of combined them, you know, to where they could do everything together. You know, neo-pagans in Israel, you know, and you've got rabbis that are, you know, honoring the earth and respecting the earth and, you know, doing it within Judaism, which has never been completely paganism free, you know, as far as that goes, as far as the reverence of nature and such as that. You know, the reverence of the cycles of the moon, you know, we of course observe the cycles of the moon and such as that. The months of the calendar are based on the cycles of the moon. Rosh Chodesh, the new moon, is celebrated. Women lighting the candles and water to celebrate womanhood. That type of thing. Why are we being attacked? You know, what do you have against us? You know, Judaism in general concerns itself with Jews. You know, you don't see many. You see some ultra-Orthodox, you know, speaking out against gay marriage and stuff, and they're a very, very small minority. Because to most Jews, they don't care what Gentiles are doing. You know, they're concerned with what Jews are doing. The Gentiles are a completely different matter. Gentiles do what Gentiles do. We're Jews, and we're concerned with Judaism. And I say we. I'm still in the conversion program, so, but I am saying we. I acknowledge that, even though it technically doesn't fit yet. But I would really like to see neo-pagans simply stop. You know, stop trashing other religions. Stop excusing bigotry. You know, speak out against the bigots within your movement as much as Jews speak against the bigots within their movement, the ultra-Orthodox, the Haredi. Speak out as much against the bigots in your movement as we do. You know, then maybe you've got a moral ground to say something about how other people treat you. But when you're treating other people like that, when you're profaning other people's faith, when you're mocking their faith, you don't have any room to talk. When you're fear-mongering and trying to blow things up, you don't have any room to talk about other people fear-mongering. You know, you're fear-mongering about the Christians are fear-mongering about you, you're slandering the Christians and mocking them, they're slandering and mocking you. Who's right? You know, neither one of you are. You're both, you know, dragging yourselves through the mud. But anyway, that's my rant. Sorry it took so long. Shalom.